Hey there, Nick here, and in this simple short video, I want to highlight for you the three most important elements you need to consider when you have or are evaluating and or creating a process to generate more qualified sales calls at less cost, and how to do that at will. If you were to work with us, in fact, and as I kind of outline this process for you, I'm going to outline our limitless lead system and see how it stacks up to the model. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there are three key elements. And if you were working with us, this is what we would consider in order to get you to the place that we need to go. So there are three important considerations that make up the core of any lead generation process that works and works well. And the first element is your market. Or in other words, if we were to kind of say that a different way, this is your prospect. And when we're considering your prospect, there are three important questions we need to ask and identify in order for us to know that we are going about this the right way. The first question we're asking is, who are they? Right now, I know if I were to ask you, who is your prospect? I mean, it's always this person or this person. We've gone through customer avatar exercises. But again, we're talking about a fast track process. We're talking about only your ideal prospect, someone who wants to move quickly, wants a result right away, and somebody who's going to move through the system quite quickly. Who is that specific person? Not the generic person that you can help, but specifically who is your ideal prospect or someone we call your 4%. The next question that you're going to ask is, what motivates them? Because at the end of the day, if we know the problems that they are looking to solve, the itch that they're looking to scratch, the thing that keeps them up at night, the actual four forces that motivate someone towards an action or a transaction, we begin to win. So the first question we ask is who? The second question we ask is what? And the third question we need to ask when considering our market is, where do I find them? In other words, what are the channels and the modalities by which our ideal prospect hangs out in, so we can get our message in front of them so that they can hear it and then transact accordingly. Now, the second element that's ultra important when we're considering this process is our message. Or in other words, if we were to say that another way, what is our offer? And this is in fact the make or break element for your entire process. Because when you have a good, a strong, a powerful offer that stands out in the marketplace, you're considered a category of one. You swim in a blue ocean and nobody can kind of get in the way. However, if your offer sounds like everybody else's, here's where your marketing gets 10x more difficult. So when we're looking at your message here, we're asking three important questions. And that is, first, what is the promise that your company or your offer solves? What is the promise to the specific market that you're trying to reach here? What is the promise that you make that brings a resolution? And how does that promise stand out from everybody else in your marketplace who are making similar promises? Next, what is your position? Are you just beige in a sea of beige, right? Gray in a sea of black and white. Does your message and your offer just kind of blend in with everything else? Or does the position you hold in the authority ladder have you stand out and properly represented to be in the category one, or the leading expert, or the trusted authority in the particular solution that your ideal prospect is looking for? And the third thing is what I call preeminence. In other words, how do you stand out? And do you stand out? And of course, there's very key things that we can deploy to ensure that your business doesn't just blend in, but your message and your offer stands out high above over all of your competition in order for this process to work in its best. So first, we have the market, who the prospect is, who motivates them, who they are, what motivates them, and where to find them. Then we looked at your message, right? And particularly nailing in what is your ideal prospect's solution and the promise you can make to them. What is the position that you hold in the marketplace? And what is your preeminence in that marketplace? And then lastly, as part of the third category, again, if we are working with you, this is the exact process we take you through, is what is the machine, right? In other words, what is the system that you use in order to attract and find and convert these people into your world. Now, when it comes to your actual machine, there are 3 elements that you need to consider here. Number 1, is your machine clear? Is it simple? I mean, so many times we look out in the marketplace there and it is not clear. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of this channel over here and a little bit of chatbot over there and a webinar, and does it work? And then we have automations, and what if they don't show up, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it gets very messy, and it's not ideally focused to the ideal prospect. And there's so many moving parts that make it very difficult. So number 1, is it clear? Secondly, is it concise, right? Is it simple? I can't tell you the number of processes that we consider that have so many steps and so many alternatives and so many this, or it takes 45 days to create a webinar. And if the webinar doesn't convert, it takes another 45 days to recreate it. Or is there a system behind the referral process? Ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to ask, is it concise? Is it simple? In our process, it's literally 1 page with 1 4-minute video, 4 to 6 minute video. Now, of course, there are other subtle nuances to that, but is it concise and simple and straight to the point? And third thing that you have to consider, is it complete? In other words, do you have to add on a bunch of things to make this work? Or does the system in itself have all the elements needed with automations and workflows and the pages and the follow-ups and all that? Is all that complete in and of itself so that you never actually have to add anything else to it to make it work? Now, it's when you have these elements that really things start together to come together, right? So let me just kind of tell you what I mean by that. If you have, for example, a market and a message, the cross between that leads to qualified lead flow. Right? When you have the right message and the right market connecting, you have qualified lead flow. When you have the right message and the right machine connecting together, you have simplicity. Right? Not complicated stuff, not things that are difficult to figure out, and if one thing breaks, the whole thing falls apart. You have simplicity. And then if you have the machine and the market, when they kick in, you have certainty. You know, it's predictable. The entire thing works. And so the first part of this entire process, or what you really need to ask, is for each of these elements, your market, your message, and your machine, ultimately, you want to look at where does it rank, or where do you rank in these elements, right? So if I'm just going to kind of draw that out there, red, yellow, green. And then if we simply had a line from 1 to 10, you need to rank yourself in these elements. So when it comes to the market and we're asking who your ideal prospect is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you about exactly who your ideal prospect is? When it comes to what motivates them, how clear are you on a scale of 1 to 10 on what are the actual motivating factors that move that person through a decision into a transaction? 1 being, I don't have no idea. I don't know what motivates them. 10 being, I can tell you exactly what they're dreaming about at night. Or same, where can I find them? What channels on a ranking of 1 to 10? Now, the same thing happens at the promise. When you're looking at your message on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being my promise is bland and it's what everybody else in my marketplace says and the competition says all the same thing, or 10 being it's so distinct and specific and clear that once my ideal prospect hears it, they have to jump in and say yes. There's no questions asked, right? Or the positioning, your position in the marketplace, 1 to 10. Are you obscure and blending in, or are you in a category of 1? And your preeminence in the marketplace. Again, are you truly in a blue ocean where everyone sees your business as the trusted authority, or are you kind of in the mix of everything, doing your best to try to stand out, right? It's important to rank ourselves here. Or lastly, under the machine, right? How clear is our machine on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being so clear, so simple, very straight to the point, it works all the time. Versus 1, I don't really know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. right? How concise is it? Are there so many steps and multiple steps and things can break and I don't know if it works and I find drop off along the way? Or 10 being ultra simple, 1 page, 4 to 6 minute video that just kind of works. And then lastly, how complete it is on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Is it missing elements? Are there things that are not being accounted for? Or does this system essentially, is this system the last system that I will ever need in order to make this work for me forever, right? And that's where we need to see. And the idea here is if you are ranking anything less than a 7 or an 8 in any one of these categories, your current system is frankly broken and it's not working the way it can and need to. And that's why we've developed this limitless lead system, because at the end of the day, when we look at all of this together, right? When we look at having a great market, we know exactly who our prospect is, what motivates them, where to find them. When we have a message that stands out as a category of one, we swim in a blue ocean. And when we have a machine that is clear, concise, and complete, at the end of the day, what that means, and this is what our ultimate goal here is we have predictable profit. And that really is what we all desire and what we need. So I want to ask you about your system. Does your system rank an 8 or more on every one of these elements? And if it doesn't, I invite you to consider a system that does. And that's why we've built this limitless lead system. And people ask, well, why does your system stand apart from other people's? It's because this is how we work with people. It's not just an ad that goes out there. It's not just, hey, let's build a VSL or something. We're comprehensively thinking through each of these 9 elements that focus on these 3 key categories. And that's what really drives things forward. And when you can get that in place, then you have a system that is truly predictable, simple, consistent, reliable, and provides you unequivocal certainty for predictable profit.